March 14th, 2022. Crestwood, Indiana. Population 5,327. By mid-morning, the smell of burnt coffee lingered in the break room at Fairway Plastics Incorporated. The office buzzed quietly with the rhythmic tapping of keyboards and the occasional muted hum of the copy machine. Inside the fourth-floor finance department, the air was thick. Andrew Lott, chief financial officer for the past 6 years, hunched over a printout with furrowed brows and dry lips. The numbers weren't just off. They were wrong. Deeply, fundamentally wrong. He blinked twice. Ran the calculation again. Same result. $12 million. Unaccounted for. He turned to the visiting auditor, Sarah Levinson, who was seated across from him, fidgeting with the cap of her pen. "This can't be right," Andrew said. "That number. It's real," Sarah replied. "We triple-checked. It didn't happen overnight. It's been siphoned off over years. Gradual, precise. Hidden in operational budgets and supplier transactions." Andrew looked like someone had just hit him in the chest. He pushed away from the desk, stood up, and walked over to the window. Snowflakes fell lightly over the parking lot below. How the hell did this happen? He turned back to Sarah, who had access. She didn't blink. "We pulled the access logs. The system shows nearly all the transactions were processed under the same user ID." Andrew frowned. "Whose?" Sarah slid a folder across the desk. A name was circled in red ink. "Linda Pearson." Andrew's eyes widened. "No, that's impossible." "Linda?" "No, she's Linda." The Linda he knew had worked in payroll and accounts. Receivable for over 2 decades. Quiet, punctual, kept to herself. Never so much as took a sick day unless she absolutely had to. "Call HR," he said. "Right now." Linda Marie Pearson, age 56. Grew up 3 towns over in Dunwood. Valedictorian of her class. Attended community college. Majored in business accounting. Joined Fairway Plastics at 33 and never left. To her coworkers, she was the picture of reliability. Always wore neutral colors. Navy cardigans, beige skirts, low-heeled shoes. Her glasses had a thin silver frame. Her hair, a nondescript brown, was always pulled back in a tight bun. People said she was the kind of person who could be in a room and vanish into the wallpaper. Her direct manager, Greg Sanderson, recalled her as borderline robotic. She never missed a deadline, never made small talk, never complained. You don't suspect someone like that. You just forget them. In her neighborhood, the story was the same. A quiet ranch-style house at the edge of Sycamore Street. Mowed lawn, fresh paint, curtains always drawn. She wasn't rude or anything, said neighbor Elaine Masters. Just kept to herself. You'd wave, she'd wave back. I don't think I ever heard her raise her voice, or even laugh. She had no immediate family in town. A sister in Madison, Wisconsin, but no husband, no kids. Rumors floated that she'd been engaged once, maybe, but no one ever saw him. Inside her home, officers later found everything in pristine condition. Books organized alphabetically. Finances, what little remained, meticulously categorized. No signs of struggle, no forced entry. It was as if Linda Pearson had lived her life on a timer. And on March 10th, 2022, it ran out. By March 16th, the FBI was on site. They moved quietly, but their presence changed everything. Staff who once chatted idly in the halls now whispered in corners. Everyone had questions. No one had answers. Linda's desk sat untouched. A beige keyboard. A cup with 3 perfectly aligned pens. A framed photo of a cat. Tabby, presumably hers. Under the fluorescent lights, the space looked too orderly, too controlled. Agent Michelle Tanner was assigned to the case from the Indianapolis field office. In her 10 years with the Bureau, she had seen financial crimes before. But this was something else. Tanner laid out what they knew. The missing funds had been siphoned in small increments. $1,000 here, $2,300 there. Over a span of 11 years, the trail led to over 30 fictitious vendor accounts. Each bore realistic business names, most with vague descriptors like Midwest Supply and Parts or Tri-State Solutions. The shell accounts were harder to trace. They were tied to P.O. boxes in various towns, all under fake names, most notably Carolyn Fields and Jenna Harper. These are not random, Tanner said in a staff meeting. They're crafted identities. Someone who understands finance and identity theft. Someone who studied the weaknesses in your internal system. and in turn pulled the trigger without knowing it. Megan Wyatt, 24, flagged a payment that didn't match a known vendor in their database. She emailed Linda for clarification. No reply. That's when Megan walked it up the ladder. "Part of me still can't believe it," she told the FBI. "Linda helped train me. She was always calm. Like safe." A background check showed no criminal history. No prior investigations. Her annual income hovered under $65,000. She drove a sensible used car. She didn't travel. Except she did. Surveillance footage, subpoenaed from toll booths, captured Linda's license plate leaving Crestwood in late February, 3 weeks before she disappeared. Another camera saw the car again heading north into Michigan. And then nothing. Inside her house, investigators found signs of preparation. Shredded documents in the fireplace. A hidden folder beneath. A floorboard containing a list of passwords and bank routing numbers. But every account was already drained. Nothing left, Tanner said. Like she cleaned up every crumb. March 10th, 2022. The last day anyone heard from Linda Pearson. She emailed HR at 7:02 a.m. claiming flu symptoms and requesting to work from home. The message was brief, but polite. Typical Linda. By March 11th, she wasn't answering calls. Her company laptop couldn't be tracked. It had been factory reset. Her work email stopped cold. Crestwood PD conducted a wellness check on March 13th after her neighbor Elaine called in, concerned that Linda's mailbox was empty, and the porch light had stayed on for 2 nights straight. Officer Dan Harper and his partner arrived around 4:30 p.m. No signs of forced entry, Harper wrote in his report. Doors locked, windows secure. They entered through the back with the landlord's permission. What they found was eerie. Her kitchen counters were wiped clean, not a dish in sight. The fridge held a single bottle of water and 3 slices of processed cheese. The bedroom closet was nearly bare. Only a few blouses remained. Her bed was made. Pillows fluffed. In the garage, her car was gone. So were several storage bins. But curiously, there were receipts in the trash, gas cans, prepaid debit cards, and one for a burner phone. Tanner arrived 2 hours later. She didn't panic, she said, pacing through the living room. She prepared. This took planning. One neighbor remembered seeing Linda loading the car earlier that week. Didn't think much of it, he told police. Figured she was going on vacation. Vacation. Right. Linda Pearson had stepped out of her life. And she didn't look back. The national bolo went out March 15th, 2022. Be on the lookout. Linda Marie Pearson. Age 56. Brown hair. Glasses. 5 feet 5 inches. Approximately 135 pounds. Last seen in Crestwood, Indiana. Suspected of embezzling over $12 million in corporate funds. Considered nonviolent, but maybe using false identities. By March 17th, there was a lead. Security footage from a downtown St. Louis ATM showed a woman matching Linda's appearance withdrawing cash. She wore a brown wig and sunglasses. The ID she used read, Carolyn Fields. The withdrawal was clean. Fast. No traceable digital breadcrumbs. Agent Tanner leaned over the desk at FBI HQ, replaying the footage. She knew to avoid facial recognition. That means planning, resources, maybe even training. They traced the account to a regional bank branch opened 4 years earlier. The documents used were legitimate, but all fake. The signature matched none on file for Linda. Days later, a ticket was purchased from Cincinnati to Tulsa using the name Jenna Harper. Bus station footage confirmed it was Linda. By the time they got there, she was long gone. Tips came flooding in. A woman fitting her description was spotted at a motel in Amarillo, Texas. Another report placed her at a truck stop near Flagstaff, Arizona. Every time they arrived, she was already gone, like she was watching them. Storage units in Ohio, Kentucky, and Missouri, rented under aliases. Each one held pieces of the puzzle. In Louisville, a suitcase with wigs, prepaid cell phones, and a laptop with no hard drive. In Paducah, a box of documents, fake birth certificates, tax forms, social security cards. In Lexington, cash, nearly $200,000 in small bills. She had mapped her escape like a military operation. Agent Tanner stood inside the Lexington unit, her breath visible in the cold air. She's not just a fraudster, she muttered. She's a ghost. Handwriting analysts linked the forged documents. Back to Linda. Her aliases, Carolyn, Jenna, Sarah Allen, were not random. Each one tied to names from yearbooks in her old high school. One agent called it her ghost garden, identities planted long ago, waiting to bloom. Then came the motel footage. Amarillo, March 21st. Linda enters room 204. A man follows. Tall, white, maybe early 60s. Wears a cap low over his face. He pays in cash. The register logs no name. The motel clerk remembers little. They didn't talk much. Stayed one night. Checked out early. Agent Keller replayed the footage over and over. Who is he? He asked aloud. Fingerprint analysis on a coffee cup left behind in the room led nowhere. No matches in national databases. But surveillance outside caught a glimpse of a license plate. Nevada tags. They ran the plate. Registered to a woman named Tessa Bloom. Deceased since 2019. Someone was helping Linda. Someone who knew how to disappear. The case exploded online. Reddit threads speculated she had mafia connections. Others thought she was dead, killed by her partner. A few suggested she'd crossed into Mexico. A psychic on YouTube claimed she saw Linda in a vision, somewhere warm, near water, in a place with red clay walls. Then came the postcard. Postmarked Albuquerque. No return address. Sent to her sister, Marjorie. Inside, just 4 words. Tell them I'm free. No signature. No handwriting match. But the phrasing felt like her. Marjorie gave it to the FBI. I don't know if it's from her, but it sounds like something she'd say. July 9th, 2022. A burned-out gas station outside Elko, Nevada. Sheriff's deputies responded to reports of a foul smell. In the basement, they found a body. Burned. Unrecognizable. No ID. No belongings. But dental remains suggested a woman in her 50s. The coroner couldn't confirm it was Linda. DNA was too degraded. One wrist had a scar matching hers from a surgery 15 years prior. But it wasn't enough. FBI labeled her missing, presumed alive. August, then September, then silence. The leads dried up. Surveillance turned up nothing. Credit activity, 0. IP traces, dead ends. One former agent compared her to D.B. Cooper. She just vanished. But then a phone ping. Santa Fe, a prepaid phone bought in New Mexico 6 months earlier connected to a local cell tower. Number matched one found in the Lexington storage unit. By the time they tracked it, the phone was off, disassembled, found in a dumpster behind a diner. Back home, Crestwood tried to move on. Fairway Plastics filed for Chapter 11. 50 jobs lost. The town's biggest employer gone. Andrew Lott resigned. He still refuses interviews. Janet Monroe now works part-time at the Crestwood Library. Sometimes I think I'll see her walk in, she said, wearing a new name, new hair, smiling like nothing happened. The house on Sycamore sat empty for months, then sold to a young couple from Indianapolis. They repainted the exterior, tore down the shed, but the neighbors never forget. She fooled us all, Elaine whispered one day. She walked past us every day, and we never knew. Today, the case file sits in a locked drawer in FBI. Indianapolis. Thick. Tapped. Still marked active. Every year, a new agent reviews it. Every year, nothing comes. Linda Pearson remains at large. No verified sightings. No confessions. No closure. Was it the perfect crime? Or did she meet a darker end? A face in the crowd. A whisper in the wind. Linda Pearson. The Ghost of Crestwood.